This is Girish, Assistant Professor of English. Today I would like to deal with the chapter called Lessons from Online Learning. The lessons from online learning. This is the lesson which highlights or tells about how we can teach to the students about how to learn and how to learn the language through the digital medium. The lesson is Lessons from Online Learning. Authors are F. Hyder Alvi, Deborah Hurst, Janice Thomas, Martha Cleveland Innes, Professor for Open and Digital and Distance Education. Lessons from Online Learning. Technology is not a silver bullet. It's only as good as the teachers using it as one more tool to help, inspire, to teach, and work through problems, says Mr. Barack Obama. If we go into the before starting the lesson, I would like to ask you a few questions. If your laptop could talk, what would it say about your online learning habits? What is the most creative excuse you have used to avoid turning on your camera during virtual classes? If you are a digital tool, which one would you be and why? And what is the weirdest background you have accidentally used during an online meeting? And what is your go to snack during virtual class? So there are 10 questions, and this, as we go, will proceed to the main topic called the lessons from online learning. Education system completely changed in the pandemic time. Physical and or hybrid classrooms teaching procedures completely switched to online using technology. Overnight, all education institutions made arrangements for online education to fill the gap between the teaching and learning. Here, I would like to note you that as we had gone through the COVID pandemic time, we were overnight, all the educations, all the institutions were scrambled and unable to maintain the education go on continuously. So they thought the online education could be a better choice and then help the students to improve their learning career. So overnight, all the education institutions they have made arrangements for online education to fill the gap between teaching and learning. Initially, teachers were bravely took the initiative and prepared online content like recording lessons, PDF, PPT for students and uploaded in whatever the way it is possible. Technology mediated classrooms and online sound the same, but they are not so. Recorded lessons, online content, and technology to address students who didn't address certain needs. The learners, such as coached and collaborative learning to the student or learners. Online education is introduced in the time of pandemic in many of the areas, but in Athabasca University, online education started 28 years ago in the stream of MBA, M Nursing, and MEd. There are four aspects in this lesson we can highlight online learning that should stick to post pandemic. First one is learning to learn online, designing online teaching with purpose, blending space and time online. COVID 19 began the disruption, AI will continue it. The first one. We'll go through the first one. First point is learning to learn online. The pandemic created one size fit for all the type of learners. It did not work for all the learners because younger students require supervision, promoting socialization, and content delivery by teacher. However, at Athabasca University, the learners can choose the time of choice for collaborative learning. There are some common inequalities that we need to address in order to avoid obstacles for online education, such as financial problems and access to internet at underdeveloped areas. Emergency online education should blunt edge instruments, ignoring the students and program differences. The pandemic's takeaway, whether it is online or offline, it is very important to make the students to learn and prepare. Second point, the blending space and time online. Synchronous learning is replicating the real time classroom, that is, where it starts and ends at a predetermined time by the institution. Whereas asynchronous learning is nothing but working independently in the convenient time. So at Athabasca, the students were come together in time and space through blended collaborating and synchronous asynchronous online learning. This is different from traditional undergraduate classrooms where students observe material on a fixed schedule. More flexible teachings allows students to receive instructor support when they need it. Next point. COVID 19 began the disruption, AI will continue it. Pandemic made instructors to come up with more innovative methods to get the best results in terms of learning and assessments. At Athabasca, a virtual cooperative program allowed us to improve students' learning in significant way, where our students accessed a stimulated work in a paced structure. Irrespective of their location, they were able to practice problem solving, conflict resolutions, ethical reasoning, and leadership while working on an assigned project. Students receive detailed feedback from AI coach on which students can work again to improve their competency. Research suggests that adapting online and AI support for education field will result in tremendous outcomes in the field of learning. Now it is time to find a way to use and capitalize on COVID 19 initiated. Technology enabled learning to incorporate with physical classroom or hybrid classrooms for beginners outcome and brighter outcomes for the students. The reading skills. Sub skills of reading. Reading is an ability to understand written texts. It is very essential in academic and professional career. There are four skills that we need to learn and to know while the importance of learning the reading. First one is skimming, scanning, intensive, and extensive reading. So, intensive reading it involves learners reading in detail with specific learning aims and tasks. Reading intensively is to read for detailed information when the aim is to understand the material in depth. Example, an insurance claim where a contract deal with others in the business area, we use the intensive reading technique. There are characteristics of intensive reading. Reading reader is intensely involved in looking inside the text. Students focus on linguistic and semantic details of the reading. Students focus on surface structure, details such as grammar and discourage markers. Students identify key vocabulary. There are advantages and disadvantages of intensive reading. Advantages of intensive reading are: it provides a base to study the structure, vocabulary, and idioms. It gives a base for students to develop a greater control of language. It also provides a check on the degree of comprehension for individual students. There are disadvantages of intensive reading. The first one is there is little actual practice of reading because of small amount of text. The text may or may not interest the reader because it was chosen by the teacher. So there is little chance to learn language patterns due to the smaller amount of the text. Next one, extensive reading. This technique is used for reading for pleasures. When the reader spends his leisure time by reading any kind of materials that is interesting to him, he will consider his act of reading extensively reading. For example, the latest marketing strategy book, a novel we read before going to bed, magazine articles that interest you. So, this technique is used where a reader is very much interested in kind of the subject or content or the text that is chosen. So, this kind of method is being used. The characteristics of extensive reading are: students read as much as possible. The purpose of reading are usually related to pleasure, information, and general understanding. Reading is individual and silent. Reading speed is usually faster than slower. Advantages of extensive reading: an expand sight vocabulary, build background knowledge, increase reading comprehension, improves the overall language competence. Next one, grammar point, misplaced modifiers. Here, a word that implies a thing or a person that makes partial or minor changes is called modifier. Modifier is what? That which implies a thing or a person which makes partial or minor changes is called modifier. Modifier changes, qualifies, clarifies, or limits a particular word to add explanation in detail. Modifiers are commonly misplaced when they are used as adjectives, adverb, phrases, and clause. Here are the examples I would like to read. Just listen to it. On her way home, she found a gold man's watch. Here, what is the wrong that it is in the sentence is, here in this sentence, the man is gold man. But whereas the sentence has to be written as, on her way home, she found a man's gold watch. For example, here in the first sentence, we see man is identified or attributed as gold. Adjective is given. But in the second sentence, it is to the object, that is watch is gold one. The correct way of using the word or adjective is very, very important. in modifying the sentences. The second sentence, I only contributed 10,000 to the orphanage. So look at this sentence. When you look in this sentence, we can understand that the person who is speaking, he himself only contributed for the orphanage donation. But if we correct it, I contributed only 10,000 to the orphanage. The second correct answer is I contributed only 10,000 to the orphanage. So we should know where to use adjective, adverb, clause, or phrase. Third example. The girl is walking with the dog in a short skirt. Okay. The correct answer is the girl in a short skirt is walking with the dog. Is the right answer. So there are types of modifiers. So the first one is adjectives, which modifies the noun or pronouns. Then adverb, which modifies the verbs, and phrases, which modifies an action or an actor. Then clauses, which modifies the meaning of another element in a sentence. The sample exercises here I would like to say is the torn student's book lay on the desk. We ate the lunch that we brought slowly. She served sandwiches to the children on paper plates. The teacher said on Monday she would return our essays. Just Ramya brought chocolates to me. Look at the answers I have given. The student's torn book lay on the desk. We slowly ate the lunch that we brought. She served sandwiches on paper plates to the children. The teacher said she would return our essays on Monday. Ramya brought just chocolates to me. So, in this lessons from online learning, where every institution had felt that a disturbance, a distraction to their education, to the children. So, overnight, what they have thought that introducing to digital or online education in the COVID-19, everyone have experienced about what had happened to the education system in COVID-19. But when we slowly learned how to help the students to learn, to continue to learn, to improve their education in COVID also. Sometimes because of this digital education, there are disadvantages for the students to learn the lessons. For example, so they were unable to have access to the internet, and they were not having the mobile phones sometimes. So there are occasions where students just they switch on the class and then they leave and they work for another task. So these kind of things are happened in online education. So in the prescribed time, teachers should motivate the students to learn the content in a systematic way. So this is the lessons from online learning. So thank you very much.